Welcome back, everyone, to the Weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast. This is our United show. This is Devil's Advocate. And today, this is our Manchester United season preview for 2021-2022. So, massive season for Manchester United on the back of topsy-turvy season last season in terms of a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but ultimately progress will be the key word to use. But this year, massive expectations and massive, talking points coming into this season. So this evening I am joined by Reece Russell, our Manchester United fan on this channel and also host on the channel. And also I'm joined by Adam again from Adam Matic TV. So plenty to discuss tonight in terms of Man United. And as always, I'm always enjoyed by good company here on the channel. So it's always good to be here. First of all, Reece, I'll come to yourself. Obviously, we were on the Premier League preview last night and we obviously talked about all the other clubs, but we didn't really do much talking about Man United last night. So first thing I'd like to obviously touch on with you is what do you make of our pre-season preparations kind of coming into this season? Because obviously we've had a lot of players out in international duty who, mind you, I thought most of our players done very well in the European Championships and in the Copa America as well. Looks like they all came back gradually. But looking at our preparation in terms of the levels of opposition we played up until the other day against Everton, what do you make for our preparations, and do you think we're equipped coming into Saturday?
I think it's been, I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I think it's been a little bit of a mixed pre-season in terms of performances have been a little bit up and down, but that's pre-season, it's kind of expected. But the good thing about it is they're becoming more of a team, like they're gelling better and like the system is becoming more fluid. I feel they're more adjusting to the roles and their positions, which for me is a good thing. You mentioned that the players are coming back gradually. Obviously, there's two players that we've yet to, they'll be back for quite a while, and that's Amad Diallo and Eric Bailly. Obviously, they're still, from what I believe, they're featuring the Olympics. I would know, I haven't really watched much of it except Diallo's free kick. That's all I've pretty much seen. But overall, I think just the fact that we've handled it really well. Unfortunately, we lost a game due to the COVID situation that came out of nowhere. Like we just randomly lost the game. I think it was against Preston. It got postponed, which we couldn't really do anything about. But then we bounced back against Everton in such a fantastic performance. The way we played them in particularly the first 30 minutes, we were 3-0 up. We controlled the game really well, dominated them. I thought there's a good pair in there potentially. Depends on your opinions of certain players, of course. Like, do you think they're good enough for the long term? I thought the pivot of Matic and Donny van de Beek has actually settled really well, to be honest. I think that's how we should start on Saturday, personally. Just the way we've gotten to full effect. I think it's quite good. And I'm particularly happy with the young players. They've delivered, they've turned up. And to those that have gone out on loan as well, after some good performances, best of luck to you.
Yeah, definitely 100%. I echo that. And I think, look, for myself, in terms of preparation, I think it wasn't ideal, obviously, the COVID outbreak we had before the Preston game, but look, these are things you can't control. That's just life. Is just a pandemic. I literally just talked about COVID situations in terms of travel and stuff like that literally just before we went on air. But I think I think obviously with the European Championships, players are going to come back, and there's a Copa America, players are going to come back that bit slower than usual pre-seasons. But when you've seen the level of performance that most of the first team players have who will be in line to mostly start on Saturday against Leeds, I think that Everton game was a good game to let them all kind of get back to match fitness. Now, people, I said this I was on Adam's show the other day, like people are talking about the intensity of Leeds. What are we going to do in the first game against Leeds? Our players are good enough to take control of the game against Leeds on Saturday. To be brutally honest about it, we are. And I think when you look at the level of opposition we played against on Saturday, Everton are a better football team than Leeds. I don't care what anyone says. Even with Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison now, they have a better starting 11, 100%. And they have a better back four. The goalkeeper is up for debate. But you do look at the level of opposition we played. It was good preparation coming into Saturday.
We were on a show last week, and my exact words to you, I'm glad that Leeds is our first game of the season. Those are my exact words to you. I'm glad they're our first game, because that level of intensity, we lost a pre-season game due to unfortunate circumstance, but we can, although it's a league game, you could still treat Leeds as well as a pre-season in terms of intensity, getting into full fitness for the rest of the squad, and you can still see how we're going to adapt to the league as well. I think Leeds are going to be. I think it's a better start than, say, a Norwich. I think that would have been slow. I don't think it would have been a good start at all. But the fact we've got Leeds, it'll push these players to the limit as well, which I think is actually a good thing.
Yeah. And I think like with the fans back, like on both sides, there's going to be a full 76,000. United players will find an extra level, and it's a big game. It's going to be absolutely rocking. I know it's 12:30 kickoff, but Old Trafford is going to be absolutely bouncing this Saturday. And luckily, I cannot wait to be there. I absolutely can't wait to be there. First game back after the lockdown. It's going to be fucking Leeds United at home. And they're the only team out of all our big rivals I haven't seen yet. So it's definitely, it is a massive one. Adam, just similar to yourself as well. When you look at this pre-season preparation, it's given Ollie time to look at the different players than last season. Obviously, Fred and McTominay came back late in pre-season, both with Scotland and Brazil. Matic and Donny van de Beek have, as Reece said, kind of garnered up a little bit of a partnership in the last two games against Brentford and Everton. Would you be looking at Donny van de Beek and Matic as the starting two for the first couple of games? And even when Paul Pogba gets to full match fitness, would you still have that as a midfield too going forward?
Listen, mate, it's a case now where Ollie has to stamp his authority on this. He can't just play players for being players and whoever they are. Donny van de Beek and Nemanja Matic are our fit, more match-sharp midfielders out of all our team right now. So they start for me. It's simple as that. It's a perfect opportunity for them to stake their claim. Ollie, what can he lose? Really? Scott McTominay and Fred come back late. Pogba's not there yet. We know that. We could see that against Everton. The most fit and able midfielders right now are Donny van de Beek and Nemanja Matic, who played well the other day. I think they will control the game better against Leeds. You were talking about the intensity of Leeds. Well, let's be honest. Fred and McTominay can match the energy levels of Leeds, but it's what they do when they've got the ball. And that's the difference between Matic and Donny van de Beek. They don't panic. They keep the ball. All you've got to do is bypass that first initial press of Leeds and their intensity, which you're only really going to do if you've got the players of Matic and Donny van de Beek sort of ilk and how they play. As soon as you bypass that first bit, you're releasing that ball into a Bruno, a Greenwood, possibly Sancho, Martial, and it's a different ball game. Leeds' game goes to pot. Really does. They're relying on United making mistakes. With Fred and McTominay in the team, you may get that. With Matic and Donny van de Beek, it's going to minimise it. So straight away, he stumbled upon the best two for the double pivot, and there's no excuse for it because the others aren't ready. These two are. Just go for it for this one, and if they play well together, then be a manager and say, I don't care, Paul Pogba. I don't care, Fred. I don't care, McTominay. You've got to earn your way back in the team. And they will do because the games come thick and fast. Matic is our best CDM by a country mile. But everyone has this thing about Matic not being able to play 2 games a week. I probably agree, to be honest. But up until the international break, it's 1 game a week. Matic can play every single game. We don't get double game week until after the break, international break in September, which is after the Wolves game. So play Matic for these 3 games, more than enough recovery time. We can beat Leeds, we can beat Southampton, and we can beat Wolves, and then everyone's back. Everyone is fully fit and raring to go, and that's when the season really kicks starts. So these first 3 games is just a case of saying, right, let's probably go out and get 9 points because we're as ready as anyone in this league right now. Let's go out, get these 9 points. Let's put ourselves up there. Then by the time international break's done, all the legs on the players have run in. Everyone is ready to go. The season really starts. You know what I mean? Champions League kicks off, Carabao Cup kicks off, and then you're really into the nitty-gritty. So let's just integrate the players that we have to right now. But let's also play the team that is fit and able and ready to go. And that's the starting 11, barring Dan James for me, that started against Everton. I don't see any reason why. I mean, there's a shout for Varane and there's a shout for Sancho, obviously. I've said I'd play Sancho. He's proven in the World Cup, in the Euros, that he doesn't need game time to come straight in and make an impact. He's sat on the bench for weeks and then came on absolutely tore it apart against Ukraine in a quarter-final. So I know Sancho will be ready. And let's just say he only gets an hour. An hour with Sancho and putting the game to bed, and then bringing the likes of Dan James' energy on is a lot better than starting the game and it's stagnating and the pressure building with Dan James from the start. So for me, I think it definitely is Donny and Matic. The back four takes care of itself right now. There's a debate for Lindelof and Varane. I think after this week, Lindelof's time is done. He may scrape into the team against Leeds, but after that, with Varane in the team, no one, not even Ole, is going to leave Varane out. And then we move forward. We're ready. We'll have Cavani coming back. Obviously, Rashford's on the recovery trail now for late autumn time. You've got there's so many options. It's ridiculous. The fact that we started that game and beat Everton 4-0 without the likes of Pogba starting the game, Cavani, Rashford, Sancho, all these players missing. And it bodes well. We have got numbers there. We have got enough there. And for the start of the season, there should be no excuse. Every one of these games, these first 7 games, we won the equivalents last season. We know we've got the beating of all of these teams. And let's not forget one other thing. This is Leeds who are mid-table. Stop building them up into something that they're not and just go out and beat them, for God's sake. It's as simple as that. Yeah, Bielsa is a good manager, but you have got more than enough to take Leeds down this weekend. Believe me. Play United's game. Stop worrying about Leeds, for God's sake.
You know what I liked
put the right team on.
Sorry to cut you there, Adam. I didn't mean that. You know, the one thing I liked about that game against Everton, though, is you know how last year people were constantly talking about the effect of Bruno Fernandes, where he's passing, where he's not intelligent enough, where he's not rushing it. We have to rely on him all that for every 90 minutes. See that whole game? I thought he could stick to his own game. I didn't feel like we had to rely on Bruno. It was a whole team effort. Like for once, and I'm like, he got to play in his number 10 role, and he was like more relaxed than most games where he's having to do everything. It's great to see. And I'm like, I can't wait for him to
enjoyed it, didn't he? He looked like he enjoyed himself, and that's the Bruno that started at United, rather than the burnt out one towards the back end of last season.
I genuinely can't wait for him to tear up the league and go, up you guys, I'm scoring 60. That would be fine. If he hit 60, he could probably hit 60 like goals and assists this year. He'll probably go and do better if he's got full 58 rest.
Last season, like a shot and goals and assists.
Well,
58,
he's terrifying for a number 10, but he gets so much unreal consent.
On that squad rotation and what Ollie's going to have to do, he is going to have to definitely change it up, because Fred and Cavani are going to miss at least 2 games over the international period, because for some reason South America have been given permission to play 3 friendlies on the Thursday, the Sunday, and then the following Thursday. So that Thursday is the Thursday when, as a weekend that the Premier League's playing a game. So both Fred and Cavani will be missing for the games straight after the next 2 international breaks, because they won't be able to make it back in time. How they've managed to get that, I do not know, but they play on Thursday. Yeah, I found that out today. So they're both going to be missing. So Fred is going to be missing. I don't think he'll play the start of Everton game. Then you've got to integrate him back in, maybe. Is it worth integrating him back in, knowing that he's going to miss a game, definitely, and then miss another game? So he's got a lot to think about, Ole, and I think he's got the perfect opportunity to use that squad that he's got, because it's massive and it's full of quality. And let's just, you know what I mean? Them games that Fred's not going to play, then you put Matic in. There's so many possibilities for him there. He's just got to look at it and go, right, okay, I need to put my team out there now. It's my team. Doesn't matter who you are, what name you are. It's about playing the best team, not the best players. So he's had more than enough time. We all know that. And this is the season for him to start doing this. And hopefully he will set the tone against Leeds this weekend and put in a Matic and a Matic and Donny van der Beek in the middle. And let's try something different.
Yeah, I think when you look at the starting 11 that we did have against Leeds, I think it's right. Probably about 9 to 10 of them will start. The only thing I could really see, the only other thing I could see happening maybe is maybe one of Van de Beek or Matic gets sacrificed for either one of Fred and McTominay. We won't have both. I think maybe one of Matic or Van de Beek may be sacrificed to put one of them in there for the intensity of Leeds. I think that could potentially happen. Look, if it does, I won't, go against it really, because look, when you look at McTominay's 2 performances against Leeds last season, played very well in both games at Old Trafford and Ellen Road. That type of game would suit him. And look, if you have, like, if you've played at, let's say, McTominay and Van de Beek, or Joe Matic and Joe McTominay, I wouldn't mind, because there's good players there. If let's say, for example, he did start Matic and he starts McTominay. McTominay has the license to do what he done against Leeds last year, get into the box and be a goal threat, because that's what he was last season. He was given that license to go forward and break forward. And what that did do when McTominay did play there is it nullified Calvin Phillips, because Calvin Phillips had to look at Bruno and McTominay. So that could be something he can maybe do if he starts him, or in the second half, if he wants to get McTominay in the box as a goal threat. Because I think is one thing I want to see this season. I want to see McTominay play a bit higher up the pitch, because like he has the attributes to break forward and get into the box, and he's decent in the box. So, like, if you do get like a midfielder in by the end of the window, or if you're playing the Man United as sitting midfielder and you are, as Adam said, rotating the squad, if McTominay's playing where he's best, in kind of a box-to-box midfield role, getting into the box.
Yeah, he's so much better as a number 8 than a number 6. Like, I know some people want him to try in there because he's got the attributes where he has shown in certain games where he can play a long ball. He can play across, like, from one end to the other, like switch directions. He's done that, but I like it when he's driving forward. I don't like him in the sitting role, like, because I just don't think he's got defensively discipline to do it. Like, at least not yet. I think he could be later on in his career, but at the moment, no. He's at that age where he's got all that energy. He's got a massive frame. He's shown that he can hit driving shots as well. He's big, powerful. I agree with you. Play him in that box-to-box role. Do not play him as a number 6. I wouldn't.
Yeah, 100%. And look, again, I think he's someone who, like, he's improving every year now, where it's not massive improvements, but there's little elements of his game that is improving. And again, like, when you're a Manchester United player, you need a big squad. You need players to do different things. And especially in the midfield area, like, you look at back in years when we were winning titles, we all different types of midfielders, so different setups and different games. Ollie knows that too, so I think we will see hopefully a bit more rotation this year. And look, especially in the forward areas, we're absolutely blessed with options in the forward areas. I kind of just want to move away from Leeds at the moment, because obviously, look, we do actually have a Leeds preview this Friday. So I'd like to just kind of touch on the season itself, expectations for the season. I kind of want to talk about kind of your thoughts on potential players to kind of be our best players, our important players this season, and kind of other things, such as, who you might think breakthrough players might be as well, what kind of youngsters could maybe break through. We're going to talk all about that. So first of all, Adam, I'll come to you. In terms of this season, when you look at the type of players we have, like the likes of Bruno Fernandes, you have the likes of Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford, albeit he's going to be here not back until October. When you look at some of these players, who do you think has kind of the biggest season ahead of him, considering last season we did do well, for the vast majority, and I suppose Bruno was probably a massive part in that, in terms of being the lead talisman. Who for you has to step up this year and kind of be kind of another talismanic figure this season?
There's a few big season players in our team right now, for the likes of Pogba, Rashford, Martial. These guys who have been at the club now a good 5 years. These are the guys that are going to have to step up to the plate. Bruno's come in and just hit the ground running. You know what I mean? You've seen Shaw step up last season, Maguire step up. You know what I mean? Wan-Bissaka now, his 3rd year. I think he has to have a solid season. Definitely in that mould. I don't rate Fred. I don't rate McTominay as first team starters. I never will. I don't think they've got what it takes for United to be challenging for the Champions League. Good squad, but I don't think we need both of them. Maybe in the future, that transfer window will come where we do sort the midfield out. But for me, the main ones who need to have a big season, well, you could say you're hoping that Greenwood has a good season for different reasons to Martial and Rashford. I think Greenwood, you're just looking for the progression again. Another double figure season in goals, assists, and he is getting better and better. So you're looking forward for him, but that's probably in a good way. Whereas the jury's out on Martial. Martial has to have a season of his life, otherwise I think he will be seeing the exit door very, very soon. He doesn't get into my starting lineup when everyone's fit, and that's
I'm going to touch on that later on. I'm going to get both your lineups by the end of the show as well in terms of when we have a fully fit squad.
That tells you everything you need to know, I think. If you're not in that first team, then how have you dropped out of there when you used to be the leading goal scorer in the league? You know what I mean? So it just shows you the decline. So in terms of people needing the season, definitely Rashford and Martial. Rashford, not so much as Martial because his contribution last season, although some performances were poor, we know he's had the injury, but he still bagged his goals and his assists and did have a big influence on the season. But Martial is the biggest one. I think him, Wan-Bissaka, and James are into their third seasons now. They need to say what they are and what they want. Are they actually holding down the place? Because I think one more average season could see changes. I think James has already accepted that he's just a squad player. And if that is the case, then maybe it's not the worst squad player to have in the world. Or Wan-Bissaka, I think, needs to nail down this season. Him and Martial, for me, they're under threat, I think. But I do feel like there's players there still. I'm not concerned. I'll only be concerned if they have seasons like they did last season. And that's my they're my biggest two, I would probably say. I already know the standards of McTominay and Fred, and Ollie keeps playing them anyway. So what's the point in me saying he needs to have a big season? He can play crap and still get in the team, Fred. You know what I mean? He can cost us goals and still get in the team. So giving up on that, and the fact that we've not brought any midfielders in this window kind of makes me think that they're going to be part of the squad again this season, no matter what. So in terms of Dalot staying, possibly now, big for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's got real competition there now. And Martial, like I just said then, does he get in the team when everyone's fit? He's got massive amounts of competition in front of him. And if he doesn't pull his finger out, well, everyone's sort of finding the feet and getting the fitness back at the start of this season, then his place is going to be in jeopardy big time.
Yeah, 100%. I said this at the start of pre-season when it came out that Rashford's going for the surgery. Like, I think this next not even 2 months, 6 weeks, this next 6 weeks are massive for Martial, because I think, like, when Rashford comes back and a fully fit Marcus Rashford, I'm under no illusions that he won't be a starter. When Rashford's back fully fit, his link up with Jadon Sancho is proven for England. He's going to be a starter when he comes back. You'd like to think. So I think for Martial, like, he's going to be starting at this season as a striker because, you know, Cavani's going to miss the first couple of games. So, like, for Martial, he needs to show a bit of form now. Granted, look, one thing I will say is, yes, he's been out for 6 months, so it may take him it might take him a game or two to come up to get the full match fitness and really get up to speed. But he needs to score in the first couple of games. Maybe, you know, get a goal or even get an assist. Just contribute. I think that's what he needs to do, and then really kick on from there. But yeah, I think for me, just another player I think's a big season as well. Is the goalkeeper, whoever the starting goalkeeper is, whoever starts the season, which most likely looks like David De Gea. I think this kind of I know last year he had to kind of leave because his partner was having a child, and Henderson came in and did impress for the large part. And obviously David came back. He wasn't playing the league games, played the Europa League final very harshly. He missed a penalty. Look, these things happen. Look, that's not going to tarnish anything. He done good for the football club. But I think this kind of start of the season for David De Gea is massive, because he has Henderson, who is chomping at the bit to be Manchester United and England's number one. So I think this first couple of weeks with David De Gea, if he can play well, have a good few performances, and one thing he hasn't had in the last, let's say, 3-4 years when he's been number one, is a settled back four, a proper settled back four in front of him, which he will have in Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw. So maybe that'll stabilise David De Gea and probably give him more confidence. Will that change some of the things in terms of vulnerabilities and set pieces? Probably not. But one way you can iron that out is that we now have a set piece coach in there who will hopefully make a difference too, or does stuff like zonal marking, do players' attention to detail when these set pieces are happening. So
it's like
maybe
you said, then Keane, sorry mate, there on the David De Gea thing. I think when he's not got a lot to do, he's worse. That's the problem with De Gea. I think his mind goes wandering when he's not got a lot to do.
He needs to be
and
proactive.
One thing that I did notice in the game against Everton, in like the first minute of the game, Everton got a corner, and yet again he was flattened in the box, flapping nowhere near the ball. And you know what I mean? He didn't even have Calvert-Lewin in there battering him. They even have Richarlison ram-raiding him. He still got flattened, and luckily got a free kick. But you can't keep doing that. You can't keep doing that. And you know what? When he was having his best seasons, he had the likes of Jones and Smalling in front of him. It's no surprise. It's no surprise he got player of the season with them in front of him, because he would have had to have performed miracles to keep us in that top four.
That season in 2018 was probably one of the best goalkeeping seasons from a goalkeeper I've ever seen in my time. He was just absolutely sensational. He got the Golden Glove. That says everything, considering and we finished second, 81 points that year. Just for all the Mourinhoistas out there, that's what they'd like to call themselves. The only reason why Josie did finish second with 81 points that year wasn't because of his brilliance, because David De Gea had the fucking season of his life. So like to quash that one as well. But yeah, look, it remains to be seen. Hopefully for me, if he is the starting goalkeeper, fully back and fully support him. But I've said since last season, Dean Henderson should be the number one. So he is the future. He deserves a chance. But if David's the starting goalkeeper, I'll back him until he no longer is. And to be fair, look at our goalkeeping department. We do have Keane there as well. What's going to happen there? We're stacked in that department. Lee Grant is there as I don't know, but he's just on the wage bill. Bishop has gone out on loan as well. So we probably have the most stacked goalkeeping department in Europe, I'd say. If you actually look at all the teams in Europe, bar I think the exception of PSG right now with Donnarumma, and who was the other goalkeeper for him? I think is it
Keylor Navas.
Keylor Navas.
Yeah. Apart from PSG, I'd say we probably have the strongest and most depth, have the most depth in the goalkeeping department in the world in terms of quality. I know Tom Heaton could be third choice, but he's not a bad goalkeeper.
To be fair, you can't. I can't even argue. I said at the start of the season, I was a bit confused. With the Tom Heaton side, and obviously I spoke to you about that. I was what the fuck's going on? Why are we bringing them in? But in the preseason games, about 45 minutes, 60 minutes, whenever he's had to play, he's commanded his box really well. Doesn't matter who he's up against. He's actually shown himself really well. I don't think it was the right signing, but like I said, I'm always open to be proven wrong, even if it's preseason. He's shown himself as a leader as well. I think that's a good thing because he's in his 30s, so he's going to give the younger lads. He's going to give the younger lads a bit of a boost as well, in terms of getting them adapted to the Premier League quicker. In terms of you're at the highest level, you're playing for Man United, you need to remember who you're playing for. None of this bullshit about playing for a mediocre side. You're playing for one of the best teams in the Premier League and one of the top recognised teams in the world. Step up to the plate, and I think the fact that he used to play for us as well so many years ago, and he left, he's built his career, he's came back to us now for his swan song. I think it's great for him. We'll see what he does, but I'll admit, even if it's pre-season, he's proven me massively wrong. Yeah,
and he's an option, and he's experienced, and if it's the case we do get an injury and he has to make a step up, he could be that goalkeeper. He's competent. He's in England. People tend to forget he is an England international as well. So I know he's probably fourth choice on the pecking order. But you look at England's goalkeeping department. I'm jealous. I'm jealous when I look at England's goalkeeping department because
can't say much myself.
Apart from Jordan Pickford, who I think he plays well for England, but he's absolutely shit for Everton. But you look, yeah,
we like that. We like that.
I can't say much. My fucking goalkeepers from my country is Craig Gordon, John McLaughlin, and fucking Scott Bain. I can't say much.
I don't think you want
show as well, but that's all I can say really.
Do you know what though? I won't talk about Scotland's goalkeeping department, Reece, because we'll have to bring up the Euros and then.
Ours doesn't exist, mate. Our goalkeepers don't even exist, mate. They just pretend they've just been hooked by Spider-Man. We'll just leave it at that, right?
Yeah, we leave it at that. But when you look at Tom Heaton, he's in a list of English goalkeepers who who are competent and he plays a good goalkeeper, Villa, very good goalkeeper from Burnley until Nick Pope came through. So he is a very good goalkeeper, and if called upon, he is an option, 100%. One thing I'd like to touch on with both of you, obviously, is we've had the transfer window. Obviously we've got the likes of Varane and Sancho in. It looks like Ollie got the new deal. That looks like he got the transfers right after that. Obviously, look, everyone wants a midfield player to come into Man United. I think that's the if you're on any social media platform, whereas Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, Twitch, whatever you're on, all Man United fans are talking about is midfielder. From what I've been reading until today, essentially, United there needs to be some outgoings before we even make an approach for our midfield player for the end of the window, which I still think is possible. Just on the base that we do make an approach for a midfield player, I'd come to you both. Who would you like to come in as a midfield player? The way caveat is Declan Rice is completely off the table. West Ham have said 80 million or nothing. United have said, no, we're not going to pay it. So Rice is off the table. I'll come to you first, Reece. Who would be your choice as a midfield player to come into United?
There's a fair few. If you want a lower player from the league, I know Basuma's a favourite for many people. Basuma, he probably wouldn't be my top choice, but he is one that I would consider. I'm absolutely ruling out Ander Herrera. God no. I just don't want repeat the past. I'd maybe look out somewhere in Europe. I've said a few times I like Koopmeiners from Alkmaar. He's just a midfielder that I think suits us really well, like a Michael Carrick type midfielder. We don't need a destroyer in that midfield. We just need somebody who can just sit in front of the midfield, get the ball, and just play out to the midfielders who are going to actually progress and kick off. I think that's what we need, really. We don't need like a Wilfred Ndidi, for example. But we don't need that type of midfielder. I would rather get somebody who just sits in front of the defence, is good enough and agile enough, tenacious in the box as well, tenacious in defence as well. But just someone, when they get the ball, the first thought of them is just to hit the damn thing forward. Just go. I don't want someone who just sits there and just snaps into people. That's not what we need. We don't need that.
Adam, who do you have in mind in terms of a midfield option? If you let's say Rice off the table and there's other options, whether it's in the Premier League or abroad, is there any midfielder who you'd like to see come in to help us play in midfield?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of going to look at it on the realistic slant. So it would be the sort of Sal Niguez and Ruben Neves territories for me. Both more than affordable, both gettable because of the situations that they're both in at their respective clubs, and would both improve Manchester United's midfield no end. I like Neves because he is tenacious. He is great on the ball. He can find the pass. He's got a set piece in him. He gives us more options. He is a nasty player as well. He likes to get stuck in, which is good. And he's built ready for the Premier League. You've got the good link up there with Bruno Fernandes through the middle as well. So I'm looking at things like that. I mean, if you were playing your FIFA cards, then there's your link right there, isn't it? It's like Neves into Bruno. There's your Portuguese connection right there. But
that's a good point. What I mean? It's a good point. Yeah.
I do think that Neves, at the age he is as well, he's got the sell-on factor for the owners, and he's marketable for him as well. He really is. And I do feel like he gives us another option. I mean, every time that guy got the ball against us playing for Wolves on a set piece, I shit myself every single time. He's just got that quality. And I do feel like a good player next to him, then you could sort of bring in a decent number 8, because Neves can play that role holding and he knows when to go. And one thing you do notice about players when you're watching them in the flesh is the communication. He's very talkative. He communicated really well with Moutinho, and that link up there, it's like that camaraderie, that know-how. It's like Souček and Rice at West Ham. They know when one's going forward, one sits back. They know we're constantly chopping and changing. It's about time we stabilised the midfield and started letting the defence know who they're working with. And then like the Brunos and the players further forward know who they're dealing with, because it changes all the time. Every other team in the league has got that stability in midfield, especially in front of the defenders. They know who's there. You know what I mean? They know who's there. They know what to do. And you can work the game out from there. Yeah, you're going to have to drop out and rest them in certain games, but that's what the squad is for. But for the main games in the Premier League, you need to be going out there usually with the same team. You really do. Maybe one or two changes here and there, but the nucleus of that team has to be stable. And that goes back to what you said, Keane, then. The keeper, the defence, the midfield, and the forward line. You need to know what it is, because you can tell what Liverpool's is going to be. You know what Chelsea's is going to be. You know what City's is going to be. You don't know what United's is going to be. And that, for me, is where we fall short all the time. We need to buy a player that is ready to go in to the first team now. No potential signings. Don't want any of that crap again. We've had enough of them recently. We want a player that's going to come in, it's going to fit into our system straight away. And if that's the reason why we're not buying someone, then I'm all for that. I don't want us to just buy someone for the sake of it, just because the money's there. I want us to buy a player that will work for us. And we did that with Varane and Sancho. So I'm going to praise them all day long. They're brilliant bits of business. This one, it's a very important one for this club. And if Ollie's hanging on because he knows it has to be perfect, then I'm all for that. I don't want another player on the wage bill who's just not going to play games. I don't want a Van der Beek scenario again. I really don't. Because
can't afford to get this wrong.
No, he could easily come in this season and have the season of his life that we all expected him to. So if we are holding off just to see and trusting in our coaching staff and our nutritionists and everyone who's involved in Van der Beek and his new regime and stuff like that, then I'm all for that. I'd love to see Van der Beek get a chance, but it's pointless doing all this if he isn't going to get that chance. So I'm for it, but I'm not. Only if Van der Beek gets a fair crack and we do try changing it up in midfield. If it goes back to the McFred scenario, then I'm just going to be pissed again. So I mean, no one else is getting a shout, and I don't know why. And everyone's just racking their brains as to why Fred and McTominay get in every single week. Yeah. I don't know what they do, but I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. Whereas I could tell you why Van der Beek would come in. I could tell you why Matic would play. I still to this day don't know how McTominay and Fred are secure in that midfield. I just don't understand it. I don't.
The only reason I'd say they start, well, last season, because there's no evidence to say they're starting this year because we haven't played yet. But there's a reason why, and I'll be straight to the point with it. There's a reason why they were playing Victor Lindelof at the back. They had to babysit. That's the simple reason why, because he has his frailties at the back. That's why they played. I think that's why, when you look at the way this football club, they're feeding out that they want to play a 4-3-3. This is before Varane was brought in. Even that there was a rumour of Varane. At the start of this pre-season, they said, we want to play 4-3-3. There's no coincidence that you bring in a world-class centre-back in Raphael Varane. And then after that, and then the rumour comes out that 4-3-3 is going to be the formation that Man United are going to play. So, look, by all means, I think there was a big reason why he played that, because he didn't trust his full back four last season. And the evidence is there when you look at Lindelof's frailties last year. And again, there's games where he did play really well as well last year. I'm not slandering him, by any means. But what I will say is, obviously, there was games last season where he was exposed, and I think, you just need to look at it next season and assess it. And I think where you see Raphael Varane coming in, there's no need to play two of them. If you're going to play one of them for energy in your midfield to give you something different, fair enough. Especially against teams like a Man City or a Liverpool, Chelsea, teams like that where it's going to be a battle in midfield. You need a bit of tenacity and you need some energy. Completely understand that. And I'd actually, be honest, I'd fully accept it, because them teams are very good teams with very, very good midfields. Maybe Matic in a game against Man City, is he the type of player that's going to be mobile enough to keep up with a Phil Foden, a Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, players like that? Liverpool's midfield is high intensity, like Jordan Henderson and Fabinho. Yeah. Chelsea have a different approach with Kante, Jorginho. this is why squad depth is important, and I think in certain games, certain setups are important. I think that the only criticisms I really had of Ollie last year, and I was very much behind them, but one of the things I was consistent with is against teams you can have more of the ball, there's no need for two of them. There's no need. One of them will do, and you play your ball playing midfielders in there. And I think this is where we'll see, where his approach is this season. The fact you have a world-class centre-back in Raphael Varane and a very good centre-back in Harry Maguire. Because I think Maguire isn't at world-class level yet. He could yet reach it. He still has a couple of years of his prime years left that he could maybe potentially reach that level. I'm not going to go out on limb call him Harry Beckenbauer because not going to go there yet. But he could absolutely, reach a very, very good level and be
I look at his system. I look at his system, and until he changes to the 4-3-3. I don't mind the 4-2-3-1 system, the double pivot. I don't particularly mind it. It's just how you coach the system. If he wants to play, like you said there, a ball playing midfielder beside a defensive midfielder, for me that's perfect. I think the way we've seen it so far, it is Matic is that holding midfielder. Donny is a ball playing midfielder, but he's maybe not the best one, but at the moment he is the best choice because he's the most fit, and I kind of think that pairing works at the start of the season. If you are going to play that system, you can get the front four, like your wingers, the number 10 and the striker, just keep them as far forward as you can. They're going to be a massive threat because they won't have to worry about who's behind them because it'll be competent. At least that's something that we've been begging for God knows how flaming long. It's been that long. Since Carrick retired, like that says it all, really.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I'd just like to touch on here is obviously expectations for this season. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions in terms of different categories of the team. And this can be personal things for players. And then we get to our expectations for trophies and stuff like that later on. First thing, Adam, I'll come to you first. Manchester United's top goal scorer this season.
That's going to be... Right, so breaking it down logically, VAR changes coming in. I think it's going to be a race between Bruno Fernandes and Mason Greenwood. That's what I believe. I do believe that because Mason, I think, will have the season that we're all hoping he's going to have. And obviously, we're not going to get the soft penalties this season. Changes in may take 5 or 6 away from Bruno. But I'm still edging towards Bruno just simply because he's got the free kicks, he's got the goals inside the box, outside the box, the headers. He's scored with every single part of his body last season. And I expect more of the same again this season. He looks like he's even fitter and more raring to go, having not played a big part in the Euros and then had a break. I think he's just going to hit the ground running. I cannot wait to see him in action in full flow, live, actually in the flesh.
On Adam, I was meant to go to the City game for the lockdown, and the lockdown happened. I didn't because I had college exams coming up and I'm sick, and I didn't get to see Bruno Fernandes in the flesh. Since I've known you, this thing I keep saying to you, I cannot wait to watch Bruno Fernandes live. I'm telling you,
he's even better. He's even better, mate. I said this on my vlog at the Everton game at weekend. I said it's so good to see him back because all anyone's judging him off is TV. But if you're there and you watch what he does, and how he influences the game and how he influences players around him, you'll understand why he gets the hype he does. Everything that was good came from him at weekends. And you can just see it. His tracking back wasn't picked up by anyone at weekend. All anyone was drooling over was the free kick, which you would. But it's the little things he does as well that you don't see unless you're at the ground. You really just don't. And it's not me being snobbish because I go to nearly every single game or anything like that, but you just don't see everything on TV. And it just reminded me.
You miss those little bits, like those little diamond moments. You miss it and you're like...
Yeah. It just reminded me at weekend of what I was talking about beforehand, what I was talking about and why I was backing him and bigging him up so much. Because that was it for me. It was the work rate off the ball. And no one puts in more miles than Bruno Fernandes on our pitch. You can look at all the stats and you can see it even more when you're live there. He's everywhere. He's just a free roll. And players like that are icing on the cake. You get the basis of the team right around him. Absolutely lethal, mate.
It pains me it pains me because when Adam, you go to every game. Keane, you called me it last night, but I'm going to say you're a bastard because you're going to see him on Saturday. You called me it last night, so I've yet to experience Old Trafford. I will hopefully this season. I hope to see him scoring a hat trick. Hopefully against Liverpool, that would be perfect.
Yes,
he can fuck them up for all I care. Like that would be perfect.
Hopefully, he gets his warm up against Leeds.
Yeah, 100%. But for me, just would life me. I've been predicting on every show I've been on, every comment section I've been in, a Bruno penalty. It would be the most satisfying thing of the trip if Bruno Fernandes gets a penalty this weekend and scores it to win us the fucking game.
After the 91st minute.
Oh, stop. It would just be fucking brilliant. But, Reece, give me your top goal scorer for Man United this season.
Well, it would be hard to leave out Bruno, obviously. I think Greenwood's an excellent shout. We don't even know what a fully fit Marcus Rashford's going to be like, but I said it last night. I got a major jaw drop, and I'm going to stick with it. I think Cavani's going to have a very high scoring season. I honestly believe that. The way he's going to play, I know he's going to play every game. Like, we already know that he's not going to play every game. That doesn't bother me at all. But he is a constant professional. He's probably, in my opinion, the best presser of the ball in terms of a striker in the league. The way he presses defenders, he draws them out. Even if he gets a head onto the ball from like a Sancho cross. Like if he gets the right time in there, I generally think he's going to hit at least 20, maybe 25. I think he could. It just depends on if he avoids injury and he doesn't go on like a spell where like 4 or 5 games where he doesn't score. But heart says Cavani, but the brain probably says Bruno Fernandes. Yeah,
for me, I already said I've definitely gone Bruno. I've gone Bruno. I think he's just too good of a player, and I just worry if we don't win that in the next couple of years where his head's going to be. But I'm going to enjoy him while he's here because he's a top class player. And for the begrudgers of Bruno Fernandes, I'll just say to you guys, you're all calling for United to take more risks in games. Now we bought a risk taker and a proven midfield player. Why slander the man? Because without him, we would have been 6th or 7th that season, and he saved us. And next season he kicked on even more. Bruno Fernandes is top class, and he's definitely a player for me who can definitely get better because he's still in his prime. He can get better.
Absolutely. He's definitely crazy.
And if we do get a defensive midfield player in, you're going to see a better Bruno Fernandes because you're going to get a midfielder who's going to be able to break the lines with their first pass, and Bruno's going to get a lot more of the ball, which means a lot more chances created, which ultimately either he gets more goals or the likes of Rashford, Greenwood, Cavani, Sancho. People are actually sleeping on this as well. People are sleeping on this as well. Look at Sancho's chance creation. Look at Sancho's chance creation as a player. No one's talking about that. It's all about Bruno, Rashford, whatever. Sancho's like chance creation in the Bundesliga was one of the highest, if not the highest. Especially at Dortmund, it was the highest.
You got to look at that. You got to understand the shout. There's no excuse for whoever plays in that forward position this season. I mean, Bruno Fernandes created 95 chances on his own last season. You add to that Jadon Sancho, then shit, the bed. You're on to a different level there. You're on to title challenging sort of chances created, and whoever that number 9 is has got pressure on his toes because he's going to have to convert a lot. Maybe Cavani is a shout to come in. It's just with the amount of games he's playing, you would probably say there's a slight little doubt about him leading goal score. But when he's in, I think he'll bag a load. I think Cavani will get 20 goals this season.
Good shout.
There's one other thing as well. I don't know what you guys think, but we all saw the Euros in terms of like Bruno Fernandes, where we all know he was knackered. There was a game where Santos decided just to drop him for the sake of it.
Still create the most chances for Portugal, didn't he?
Yeah. The fact that even though he still didn't have a particularly great Euros, he still created all those chances. If I was a player in the Premier League, I would be genuinely scared. That's like because in his mindset, where now he's fully rested, Bruno Fernandes in his mind, he'll have a point to prove. I would genuinely be worried.
This was it when people come to me and said, "Look, Bruno's been dropped now out of the Portugal team." Look at that. Portugal won 1 game in the Euros. Bruno started. Exactly. Just remember that. Bruno created more chances than any other Portuguese player, and he only started the first 2 games. So, yes, that's what Bruno does. If you don't recognise what he brings and what he does, and this all comes down to favouritism and how the fan base has gone. The favourite players, they forgot how to be supporters. And hopefully this season it'll change and get back to how it was. And we actually get people actually backing a lot of the players, because some guys just won't even cheer when a player scores a goal. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like I don't. One thing I don't get, and like you've mentioned favouritism in players and all that, is every time you see, it's either like, obviously I know, Keane, you're a massive Pogba fan compared to I am. Like I like Pogba, but I'm not as big a fan as say you are. So you've been just, or should I say Lingard?
I like Paul Pogba, but Shane loves Paul Pogba.
But you know what I mean? Like in terms of like compared to myself, like I'm more of I prefer Bruno, but I'm like, it's not the sense of preference, but the one thing I don't like is when you see it on Twitter and it's like, well, Bruno Fernandes doesn't have a great game, but then Pogba scores, Pogba's clear of Bruno. And then Pogba doesn't score in one game, Bruno scores a hat-trick, Bruno's clear of Pogba. And I'm like, we don't need the comparison against each other. Like I don't just be happy
that they're your players. I think they need to be happy that you have 2 top world-class midfielders at the football club.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me.
It's social media. I think that it's look. I'm all for banter on Twitter. Look, I'm actually close to being off the fucking app, but I do love my Twitter banter. But when people kind of get a bit ridiculous about it, then I think that's where the fine line is. Come to you both. Player of the season for Manchester United. I'm going to go first. I know we've the wealth of attacking talent, but
no.
Raphael Varane.
You bastard!
Raphael Varane, for me, I think he's going to have a Virgil van Dijk-esque effect at Man United this season, where he's going to be that difference for us at the back, which is going to allow us to play better football. And it's going to amount to us winning a trophy this season, whether that be a cup competition or the league itself. I think Raphael Varane is my player of the season. I think where Jadon Sancho is a great signing for chance creation and stuff like that, Raphael Varane, for me, he's going to be that difference maker and that kind of the winner that we're going to instill into this squad, where it's really going to make us push for another level. I made sure to go first in my player of the season tonight because Reece, you done me lovely last night and you took one of my options. So I made sure I could get there before you tonight. So Raphael Varane is my player of the season. On that note, Reece, I'm actually going to come to you. Who's your player of the season?
You're a fucking dick. That's exactly who I was going for. Raphael Varane. And the reason why is exactly that, is what you've mentioned. Is you said it last night, and I've said it before as well, and we completely agree with it. Like Sancho, he's great. He's not world class. He isn't world class yet, but the one thing he does have is he has that potential to be that world class player. And I think that even what he is right now, and he hasn't hit the world class level, that's a great sight to behold, that he's just going to keep getting better and better. And now he's at a platform where he's playing for Man United, he's playing for Old Trafford. He's playing Old Trafford. He's got that big, massive atmosphere around him as well. I think it's great. But for me, Varane has to be world-class centre-back. 14 finals, 14 wins. Like, the man doesn't know how to lose. Like, even if I just love that in a player. Like, it's like a Roy Keane type mentality. Like, he just does not accept defeat. He's always about better and better, and he's striving. I got in a silly argument with somebody the other day because they were talking about Varane and they were slating him. They're like, "Oh, Varane coming to Man United, it means fuck all because he doesn't have Sergio Ramos behind him because Sergio Ramos carried him at Real Madrid." I was like, "You're talking bollocks, mate. As much as I love Sergio Ramos, he didn't carry him. They worked really well together. Exactly. It's a perfect pair." And I'm like, how can you honestly say Sergio Ramos carried?
Were they a Liverpool fan by any chance?
No, a fucking Arsenal fan. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You signed Ben White, mate. Like, you don't even know how to talk about football because you have a bloody Ben White in defence, mate.
You signed Ben White for more money.
Exactly. I'm like that. The stupidity that you come to me when you didn't even sign the best player from Brighton for a centre back. Lewis Dunk is the best centre back. Come back to me when you actually make a proper signing. But I'm like, the fact that we brought a player in, he's in his prime years as well. He's a leader. He's quick as well, which complements Maguire's lack of pace as well. He's roughly the same height, so he's physical in the air, good with the ball. It's hard not to pick Raphael Varane as your player of the season, but an outside mention, I wouldn't be surprised because he has it in him, because when he's on his day as well, he's always at it. Marcus Rashford could be player of the season. I honestly think he could. Luke Shaw could have another absolute belter this season. He could be player of the year as well. But trust you for rubbing it in my face for me doing it to you last night. It has to be for me, Raphael Varane, mate. It has to be.
Yeah, 100%. I echo that because I said it first. But anyway, we go to Adam. Adam,
Yeah.
Who will be your player of the season this year?
I said it at weekends. My player of the year this year is Slabhead. I know it. I reckon he's going to get 7 goals this season. And I think the captain is going to go to a different level, and he is going to join that world-class bracket player this season. Now he's got someone next to him. You've seen how good he was for England when he had a player, an agile, clever player next to him, the likes of John Stones, who could hold the ball, who could play a ball. Positionally, Varane will know and link up instantly, I think, with Maguire. And our captain is going to be our player of the year. Expect to see goals from this guy this year. This guy this year, fellas, because he gets to the ball from every set piece. You don't see it. It's not always, but he's a proper slabhead because it doesn't always go near the goal. But believe me, sooner or later, you get that many chances and that much movement.
Penny's going to drop like.
So you think he's going to have a? Do you think he's going to have a Steve Bruce early '90s season, and when he hit double figures,
he's going to have an absolutely epic season. And look at it. Look at Luke Shaw's delivery now. You got Sancho coming in there as well. Corners, set pieces. The quality's coming back in. You got a set piece coach in there now. It's not just defending; it's attacking. So for me, Harry Maguire, our captain. Old Slabhead, can't wait to sing that song on Saturday.
I was just about to say that. It's like the best chant. It's like one of the best chants ever. It keeps going, like, don't it?
It does. It's my favourite song out of all of them. It really is. And I know Give It Eddie is right up there. Harry Maguire takes the biscuit for me. It does. It's the best. It's the best United chant out there right now. Because like Keane said, it just 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes again. It's absolutely brilliant.
I can't wait to be I'm not going to lie. I can't wait to be absolutely pissed singing that song Saturday morning. I absolutely can't wait.
I swear if you're on TV,
probably singing it at my party on Friday night, mate.
I will, yeah.
I swear, mate. If I see you on TV and you've got, if I see you on TV on Saturday, mate, and you're not singing, I will be messaging you. Don't worry. I will not let you. I'll be like, yeah, dick. I seen you and you stood still.
I won't be. If I'm not coming home with no voice, if I'm coming home to Ireland Monday morning with no voice, that's victory. But if I come home with a voice, I'm fully able to have a full conversation. It's not a victory. But anyway, final 2. Breakthrough talent of the season. Obviously, we've got a lot of good young players. Academy's doing well. We also bought young, the likes of Diallo and stuff like that. We've Mason there as well. Reece, who's your breakthrough talent this season?
That's a good one. Obviously, I've seen pre-season just how much I adore Anthony Elanga. I absolutely adore him, like the way he's came into the left wing position. He did have a few moments where he, especially against QPR, where he was a little bit off, like in terms of like lapse in concentration, positioning. But on the other hand, the way he was attacking teams as well, I thought he was fantastic. But I'm going to go completely opposite of that. For me, breakout. Just carry on from last year. Shorter. I honestly think he's going to be the breakout, and there's just something about this young lad. There's just something about him. It's just hard to describe, like just how good a talent he actually is. And I'm like, the fact that he's so young and he's settled in from like progressing through the age groups quickly. Now he's in the first team. He'll be in the round it more this year. There's just something about him. He's got that quality, that star quality, and honestly, God, I hope he bags a hat trick against either Liverpool or Man City. Just like the type of player he is, he fits in. He fits in so well, and yep, has to be Shola for me. Has to be.
Who do you have, Adam, as the kind of breakthrough player of the year of kind of all the young lads we do have?
It's Ahmad. He's going to be the one this year. This guy's got quality about him. He's gone under the radar because he's been away at the Olympics. He's a fully fledged international already. He's played more games for Ivory Coast, I think, now than he has United. And it just shows you. He's the guy has got quality. I've seen it, and we've seen it when you did the watch along on this channel, Keane, for the Wolves game.
Yeah,
you just see a guy there, and you just know he's got something. And I think the only worry I have got is him getting game time, because we've not even mentioned him in our front line yet. He's got to come back into the fray as well yet. So this all comes down to the pressure of that front four at Manchester United, because I would honestly say right now, Bruno, he's probably got one place nailed down. You could possibly argue Sancho. Everything else can be any of them. Can be any of them.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because one bad game, you could be dropped. So yeah, I agree.
That's it. So these guys. I think Ahmad's going to come in. I think he'll take his chance. He did last year when he played, and I feel like we're going to get even more of him this year. And hopefully now he's resting up and getting ready. I don't think it's going to be too long before he's back in with the squad. I do think after the international break, when the Carabao Cup kicks in, I think we're going to see plenty of Ahmad, and I think he's going to set it alight.
Yeah,
he can make Shane Dowley happy.
Yeah, that I'll never forget that moment on Adam's watch along when Adam and Diallo spun two players, and I think he played an in, and I remember I have it clipped up on my phone. I must send it on to you, Adam, after this.
So funny.
I was applauding. Me and Jamie were applauding Amad Diallo, and Shane just turns around and says, "Amad Diallo might just be the best player in the world." It was if you're talking about YouTube clips,
he's such a good young talent. But when I seen that the first time, I just couldn't help but look at the way like Shane said that with such a straight face as well, and I'm like. The fact that he said it with such a straight face, and I'm like, the fucker, we know he's joking, but fuck me, the man's brilliant. You just can't help it. But it's the funniest. It's one of the funniest clips I've ever seen. I'll give him that. It was brilliant.
Yeah, Adam. At the end of this show, I'll send it on to you on WhatsApp. The clip from that watch long. It's fucking hilarious. For me, my breakthrough talent this year is Anthony Elanga. I think looking from the preseason. He looks like to be someone who's versatile. He can play up front, he can play in the left, he can play in the right. I think if Martial doesn't hit the ground running, Elanga will come into and take his squad place. And with Lingard leaving potentially as well, I think Elanga does have that squad place. And I think when Adam mentioned the Carabao Cup, I think Elanga definitely is a shout to play in the Carabao Cup on the left-hand side or up front. He is definitely a shout, and he's someone who showed maturity at such a young age. I definitely think he can definitely be that option and to be that breakout talent. But finally, just the final part of this season previews, the one part I want to leave for last. In terms of expectations and kind of predictions as to what we're going to amount to this season. Reece, I'll come to you. What do you expect from Manchester United this season? Let's say I'll give you a scenario. Let's say we do get rid of one or two players, and all he does get is midfielder in by September. What's your expectation for United, bare minimum?
All right. So on the basis of that scenario, if he is to get a midfielder, then I know Adam said it before, and I'm in the same sort of scenario where when it gets to April, we have got to be in that challenging position for the league. We have got to be challenging. You can't go from second to third or fourth. For me, that doesn't equate to progression. Staying in second, but getting a better points total, still class progression. I've got no issue with that. We've definitely got to put a serious challenge on Manchester City, because with all due respect to Liverpool, their front three, there's some holes in their squad as well. I don't think it's going to be them. I don't see Chelsea realistically challenging them either. I think it's going to be the same top two that ended last season. It's going to be the Manchester clubs. I hope we win a trophy, like even if it's like the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, like just something for this team to say like we've won something. We've finally got over the hurdle of winning a trophy. Let's take it on. Obviously, the first piece of silver where you can win is the Carabao Cup. I think that would be great for us if we were
running that competition period.
They probably will. The Mickey Mouse Cup has been stuck at the Etihad for ages. But if we were to win it, though, I think it'd be great in terms of kickstarting a season. It's happened for teams before. They've won that trophy and they just go and blitz it and they win like the league or they win the Europa League or they win the Champions League, something like that. I would like that. I want us to get out the Champions League group stages, even if we were to get to like the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, just to put a stamp on Europe, because Chelsea and Man City done it last year against the top European talent. I think we could. But for me, it has to, like, predominantly for me, it's got to be when we get to April, we've got to be challenging. And even if it's one trophy, even if it's one, it'd be great just for the boys, just to say, well, we finally go over that hurdle, because you don't want it to be in their heads, are we ever going to win a trophy? I think it'd be bad for them mentally, where they feel like they'll never do it, underachieve. I don't want them to feel like that. So I hope they get something they deserve, even if it's an FA Cup. That'd be great. Second in FA Cup, I'll take it.
Adam, do you have any different expectations to Reece?
No, not really. It's got to be challenging for the title properly. I think a good 80 points will be nice. Beat the 80-point barrier, because then you are going to be, you're definitely in a title race if you're getting 80 points in this season when you've got so many teams that are expecting to challenge. Although Chelsea going through to penalties as we speak at the moment in that Super Cup.
Oh, are they?
So
with Villarreal?
Yeah, it's 1-1. Second half of extra time now.
Who have they got in goal? Chelsea?
I'd not even looked, to be honest.
Well, whoever they've got in goal, I hope.
It's Mendy. Mendy's
right,
in goal.
I hope they miss a penalty.
On that note, trophies, massively important. I think you got to get City early doors and knock them out in the Carabao Cup. As soon as they get past the first round, when they start playing a stronger team, then they're always probably going to win it. So, yeah, I expect right in that title race all the way. I expect United to honestly be thinking like they're going to win the league. That's what I want the players to be thinking anyway. And that's what I want Ollie to be thinking. I don't want none of this crap. We don't belong here. People weren't expecting this and that. He spent over 400 million on a full team. He's had a player in every single position. Well, he's been at the football club brought in now, added to what was already here. It's time to deliver. If he doesn't deliver, I would honestly change the manager. If he gets top four, I think he'll stay though because of the economics of managers at Manchester United. But how often can we say it's progression? If you're not getting more points or moving up the table or winning trophies, what is progression? I will completely fall out with him if he goes back into that Europa League. That is my no-go area. If we end up back in that shit, I'm done. It's as simple as that. I can't handle Thursday nights.
It's the one I don't want to see is the Europa League purely for the sake of the teams that are going to be in it. We're actually in a very favourable pot this year where we can't draw PSG, we can't draw Real Madrid, we can't draw Barcelona, although they're finished as big clubs. Pretty much they're finished anyway.
Can't draw
exactly.
Juve.
The best we can draw in terms of the pot ones is like Lille and Sporting Lisbon and all that. Like that's favourable. Inter Milan, like we can certainly do that. Like obviously, I hope we don't get Villarreal. I cannot be bothered with them. Like they can shove.
Do you know what? I want to draw Villarreal.
You want that revenge?
Oh yeah, I'm a bastard. Like I want.
I'd love to beat
revenge.
them in the knockout stages. That'd be more fun. Beat them in the knockout stages. But now, if we do, then fair enough. Like I don't want a long travel from like one of the. Like, I want it to be quite a close travel as well in the Champions League, like where we can just like keep it so like we can keep the squad fresh. But if we get out the group stage, great. If we have to go into the Europa League, I will be gutted because we shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
we shouldn't be.
100%. Look, I suppose for me, like my expectation is at the same level as you guys. I think a trophy is very important. Like I think when you look at rebuilds, you look at Sir Alex's rebuild in 2006. He had a load of young players, Rooney, Ronaldo, players like that who were coming up. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously he was after replacing the likes of Roy Keane. Do you know what I mean? David Beckham was gone out of the club a couple of years. Do you know he's bringing in Vidic and Evra, though players like that. He was brought in Van der Sar. He was kind of restructuring another team. Ollie's kind of at a point where he's done the restructuring now. So even if they did go on and win the League Cup this year, or the FA Cup, and they did come second in the league, but it was a title challenge where they did push City to the limit, then by all means, and 100%, I'd be like, right, that's progress. Go out and have a massive summer, get the defensive midfielder, buy Haaland, go balls, absolute balls to the wall for the league the season after. Mm-hmm. But I think we need to win something and definitely show more progression in terms of challenging for the title and being thereabouts come May, late April, early May. But yeah, that's more or less it. I think we're all kind of I think most United fans are all in the level playing field.
Yeah.
In terms of where we need to be and where we want to be, but there's also realism in it as well. It's not like, look, I did predict an Adam show on Sunday that we're going to win the league, because that's always me being the ultimate optimist.
It's right in here. As a United fan, like, the one thing you would want, bread and butter, is to be the champions of your domestic league. It's the same. Like, I get exactly where you come from, mate. I think it's great to have a little bit of optimism, but like the sense of realism, we've got to have it. Obviously, we want to win everything. We're not gonna do it as much as we would love to win everything. We're not, but just one trophy is enough to silence some people. Even like a little bit of doubt, it's enough. It's a start. It's just, I hope people get credit where credit's due as well. That's the only other thing.
Yeah, 100%. And look, it's an interesting season, and I think for all the managers we've had post Sir Alex, I think, you know, the manager who wanted to succeed most is definitely Ollie, because he's a Manchester United man first and foremost. But we have to be realistic. We have to make more progress, and that's just the way it is. But one thing I'd say is, I'm going to get the final thing out, lads. Since I'm going to speak to Adam on Friday, obviously, because I'll be at his party. Reece, I probably won't see you between now and the weekend. So, Reece, give me your score prediction for Leeds on Saturday.
Manchester United 4, Leeds 1. The bastards are going to turn up, and they're going to get put to the sword.
I love it.
Done.
I'm not putting my neck out on the line like that, but I'm actually glad I'm not the one doing it. Adam, are you as confident as Reece?
I'm going to go 2-0 United. And just for the breaking news, Arsenal have drew West Brom in the Carabao Cup because Arsenal are in this round of the draw because of how badly they finished last season.
That's what happens when you sign Aaron Ramsdale, mate.
God.
I'm gonna go 2-1 United, and I'm gonna go, just for the sake of it, Bruno penalty winner in like the 80-something minute, because that'll just be unreal, just to be at the game and just to see it. But thanks very much, everyone, for watching. Do smash like the video, hit that subscribe button for Adam, get them bell notifications on. Reece will be back with the London Lowdown podcast on Friday. And also, do check me out tomorrow on Talk the Devils. Myself and Phil Marsh will be talking all things Manchester United. We'll be talking the Leeds game on Saturday, but also his expectations going into next season as well. But until then, guys, thanks very much, everyone, for watching. Thanks to Reece and Adam for jumping on. And until next time, lads, we'll see you later.